and welcome to the Doofcast, a film and TV podcast from Doof Media. My name is Scott Daly, and joining me, as always, the one, the only, Spider-Man. How's it going today, Matt?
Let's do this one more time. I was written by a spider.
You were written by a spider?
I was bitten by a spider.
Wow. You were written by a spider.
I was written by a spider. Yeah, okay. Just bitten. I'm starting to get paralysis, so that's why I can't talk.
It's the like the being in the wrong universe thing, right? That's what's happening.
I'm glitching.
Yeah, understandable.
Oh, I just fell off my chair. I glitched so hard.
This week on the show, we are continuing our series taking a look at the best 25 films of the 21st century. We're calling it the 25 and the 21st.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
We got a few more weeks to shape that up.
We do. This will be film number 6 on our list currently. But of course, am I going to keep doing this every time? It's not actually the 6th film on the list.
No,
it's actually currently the 5th film on the list.
This is just the one we're talking about this week.
It's the 6th film we've covered as part of this project, and it is the first animated picture, but not the last on our list. It is the first superhero film, but not the last on our list. It is 2018's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Oh boy. It's a big long title with lots of hyphens in it.
But it deserves all those hyphens.
It does. It does. Is Spider-Verse even hyphenated?
I don't know.
It is on our list, but
I don't. Yes, it is. Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse.
Well, no, that's the other one. We're
into the Spider-Verse. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So we're gonna be talking all about this movie this week. I think that's all we got planned on the docket for us, and I'm excited about it. I'm very excited.
I am too.
This is another one, Matt, that we have already done an episode, so I'm going to say that with the express intent of telling all the people listening out there they're not allowed to get mad at me for repeating myself, because I repeat myself between episodes of podcasts that are a week apart because I don't remember what I said. So I cannot be held accountable for repeating stuff I said on a podcast 5 years ago.
No, I'm sure I've repeated myself within the same podcast.
I actually can confirm. Sometimes you repeat me.
Yeah,
which is always fun.
I think you've repeated me before.
No, that's never happened.
Sometimes we swap things between each other.
Well, you're like me, as they say.
You're like me. That's right. They do say that.
You want to get into it, Matt?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about Spider-Man : Into the Spider-Verse. Matt, what is this movie all about?
Teen Miles Morales becomes the Spider-Man of his universe and must join with 5 spider-powered individuals from other dimensions to stop a threat for all realities.
This movie was written by Phil Lord and Rodney Rothman. It was directed by Bob Persichetti, Peter Ramsey, and Rodney Rothman. It stars Shameik Moore, Jake Johnson, Haley Steinfeld, Mahershala Ali, and just like a lot more. I'm not going to read them all. There's a ton of voices in this movie. This was a big, huge production. Sony Pictures, Matt, brought this one. So I think you can draw a straight line between the existence of this movie and you being forced to listen to K-pop all the time.
No, yeah, you're right. This was pointed out to me, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, what did you think on this latest revisit of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
I guess it's been quite a while since I watched it, and I enjoyed it even more than I expected to. I knew that it was a really fun movie that I enjoyed, but I think I forgot just how snappy and tightly written and funny and propulsive it is. Mm-hmm. How, like all of the little beats in it. There were a few things I feel like I either only caught this time, or maybe I'd caught them in the past, but I just forgot them. That's entirely possible that I did catch them and I just entirely forgot that beat, and then it felt fresh to me. But I guess that's one of the things that can happen when you have a movie that's this dense with stuff happening, and sometimes there's like a a visual gag.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I noticed was that there is a moment in the second film, which we're not really going to talk about, and I'm not going to spoil, but there's a moment in the second film which is like a direct callback to this movie, in a way that I hadn't realized was a callback. I just didn't realize it was a connection. So
that's interesting. I have not watched the second movie since it came out. This is for some reason, like this one I ended up watching multiple times. I've watched this movie quite a lot, but for whatever reason, the second one I just have not seen since that first time. So I don't even know what you're referring to.
It's not important. I think it's just like I caught more stuff this time. Maybe is a fun way of saying that.
No, that's fair. And I think you're right. This is an incredibly dense movie. And I don't just mean like the frame, which that is true as well. But I think this is a very sharply written film. It is about something, and we will of course talk about that. And I love the way this movie tells its story. And I think it's beautiful to look at, and it's just a whole lot of fun. That's really how I feel about this film. Seen it many times, doesn't get old. Definitely one of my favorite animated movies ever. And I'm happy to see it actually pretty high on this list. Number 5 right now is kind of crazy.
Yeah. I agree. I think I didn't really feel a sense of objection to that, right? With some of the movie placements, I'm like, really? That high? But this is definitely one of the ones where it's got a lot going for it, right? So just in context of sort of talking about it as a movie, standing as one of the greatest movies of the first 25 years of the 21st century, this is a movie that absolutely could not have been made at any other point in time. Like the animation difficulty of what they're doing is like layers of difficulty, right? Like you've got the, first of all, everything is at a fundamental level on top of a skeleton of CGI, but then you've got incredible, again, layers of stylistic emphasis, and there's the whole like comic book style thing that it's doing on top of everything. It's just a visual buffet. There's like, you can just any still frame in this movie is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's like a 2-hour movie, right? So it's unbelievably sumptuous to the eyes, and it's not something we saw anything like, prior to the late 2010s when it came out. Blew people away at the time, and you watch it now and you're kind of just as blown away, because it's like, it's such a spectacle. And on top of that spectacle, it's a fantastic story. So it kind of has everything you want, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I think one of the story is great. It's a very well told movie, but even if you like take that piece out of it, it's almost worthy of this list just because of its importance to animation. And like, I think we said this when the movie came out almost 7 years ago now, somehow, that this is going to kind of dramatically change the animation landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can kind of safely say 7 years removed that is true, that there are movies out there today. We made the K-pop Demon Hunters joke. It's the same studio, different people working on it, obviously, but like I really feel like outside of like Japanese animation and the people emulating that, like I feel like Western animation was kind of in a little bit of a rut in the 2010s, maybe. Like I certainly like Pixar films, and I like a lot of the Disney films as well. I like those movies, but like stylistically, they're all kind of very samey. Even if like the specific how we draw the characters doesn't look the same, just like how we do animation, how we do CG animation in the 21st century, kind of everyone just kind of collectively agreed this is how we're going to do it. And then I think this movie came along and said, well, no, we're going to do something completely different. And there was the fact that not only did it happen, but it was successful. There was a lot of animators out there that said, look, we can do this now. Look, like this is an example for us to do something different, and it's something that looks different and feels different, and doesn't have that sameness quality. It doesn't have that Disney design to it. And I think that changed animation. And I think, we're talking about the 21st century as if it's complete. We're only a quarter of the way through it. I wonder if 25 years from now, 50 years from now, 75 years from now, like I feel like going to be one of those movies that's like an inflection point of animation.
Yeah.
In animated storytelling.
I think you're right. I mean, I'm not exactly a student of this, but if you look at the movies that came out in the years immediately following this one, you've got like Raya and the Last Dragon coming out in 2021, which, it's not that it's not that you can just say like, oh yeah, it looks like this movie, but there are certain stylistic choices that are more like this movie than they are like the other things that were coming out before this movie, right? Where the people look more like people. There's some attention paid to the stylisticness of things, I guess you could say, because I don't know. I don't want to have this be a whole conversation about Raya and the Last Dragon, but there's a lot of, which is a movie that I like, by the way. I think it's a fun movie. But like, I think you're right that like, when did Lego Movie come out exactly? Lego, first one. I think it was before. It was 2014.
2014. Yeah. Gosh, that's an 11-year-old movie. Christ.
Yeah, right. So I bring that up not to take anything away from this movie, really, but just like I think there was a process that started at about the Lego Movie toward maximalism in our 3D animated films, where they kind of realized how much stuff they could put in the frame and how dense and complex they could be, and then they started leveraging that for putting more visual jokes into things. And I think they being like people in the animation industry broadly realized like there's so much more density that we can get away with in our films when we can control everything to such a microscopic level. And so that's why there's all these little throwaway visual jokes and like I mean again, talking about like the things I feel like I noticed for the first time, like when Peter B. Parker arrives, I believe he lands in front of like a Coca-Cola sign, but it's all spelled wrong, and it's just kind of nodding in the direction of like this is not quite our Earth. And we're just reinforcing the beat of like this is an interdimensional story. It's not even a joke, really. It's just like it's communicating. It's communicating like he fell into this dimension, and look, this is a weird dimension to him and to us too, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So there's tons of that. It's funny. It's hard to like pick out an example because it's more just like everything all the time, is this like high bandwidth communication in 17 different things that are happening in the frame.
One day I worry I'm just going to get too old for this kind of movie making, where it's just going to like be too like too busy and too stuff, because I think you said that this is a movie that could only be made in this century, and I think you're right, just technology wise, but I also think this is a movie that very much feels like modern storytelling in its freneticness and its busyness and how much is going on in the frame. There are moments that even these old eyes felt a little overwhelmed by everything that's happening in the frame and trying to capture and take it all in at the same time.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I also feel like maybe we have grown to be able to absorb it better. I don't know. That's an interesting point. Like, simultaneously getting older and mentally slower, but also like getting better at watching movies because of experience. I think we're going to circle back around to this later in sort of the part 2 of our podcast today, but I rewatched one of my favorite movies, Blade Runner 2049, this week. And I literally am just mentioning it here because it's a movie that I've seen probably 10 times, but I haven't watched it in several years. And watching it again, I just like noticed all this stuff that I never noticed before, and I was like, what's going on? Why is that? And I'm like, I think I'm just better at watching movies now, and just like every
Sure.
year that passes and every year that we practice watching movies and then talking about them, I just get slightly better at noticing things.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, I think I'm getting better at watching movies over time as I get older. But also, I think you're right that your brain just slows down as you get older. I'm not disagreeing with you actually.
What I'm doing right now is doing the thing where I'm like, the TikTok generation just wants everything fast moving, and which is not even true of this movie, because there are plenty of like slow, introspective character beats of this movie. It's just like the action is just very, especially the climactic scene when like up and down have stopped mattering. There is no sense of orientation, and everything's just being thrown around at you. It's just kind of overwhelming. But I mean, not in a bad way. I still think the whole sequence works very well.
Right. There's one thing I noticed in terms of the action that I don't know that I've ever consciously noticed before, and it's kind of a unique thing about this movie where the web slinging is done in a way where, you know, because it's all CGI, obviously, unlike the other Spider-Man movies we've watched, and because it's so dynamic and you can kind of put the camera anywhere, and because it's animated, most importantly, the physics is a lot more interesting. First of all, so first of all, they're doing just crazy things, like the sequence toward the end of the movie where I'm going to forget exactly the details, but it's like Miles like dives down between two buildings that are colliding and like makes it through, and then web slings in a way where he like flips up and then around and then like latches onto this thing that's spinning that then pulls him around, and it kind of slingshots him out, and then and then now that he's over here, he's able to grab onto something else. And the physics of this, like the conservation of momentum and the way the arcs go, all seems credible. I was going to say correct, but then it's like your eye actually has no idea what is correct, but it can spot things that don't seem right. So it's credible, right? It looks right, and that's kind of what matters. And that's like it's just really going for it, and it's really nailing it. Even stuff like he'll be in the air and he'll shoot his web out in a situation where he has his own momentum and direction, and like the web will sort of get like a kink in it because of the fact that he's like moving in this direction, like forward and left, but he's shooting to the right. And so the instead of the web just being like a laser that shoots to the thing, it's like the physics of the flowing web shooting out is also affected by this. And there's a lot more. This is maybe like a stylistic thing they're doing with Miles in particular, where his web slinging, his webs tend to be arcing and twisting, and his whole style of movement is different from the style of movement of the other Spider-Mans, because he's like he just has a different approach to the whole thing. Like he owns it, right? He makes it his thing. And that's,
which is key to thematically to the movie. Like
exactly
the way that the animation ties into the themes, I think is really great there.
Exactly. So, you know, I guess this is also complimenting the animation, right? But I'm specifically complimenting the taking of this idea of Spider-Man. Everyone loves Spider-Man. There's a lot of reasons everyone loves Spider-Man, but one of them, I've always believed, perhaps an obvious statement, is that web slinging is cool as hell.
Yeah.
And there's something very, you know, it's fun to imagine that you can fly. But it's very hard to imagine. It's actually hard to imagine what it would be like to fly, because we have no frame of reference for that. But you can imagine what it would be like to swing from something, because every child has played on a swing set. Every person has swung from a rope for some, you know, period of time. Maybe using it to jump into water or whatever. It doesn't matter. You know what that would feel like, and so it's much easier, I think, to put yourself in Spider-Man's position in a visceral way, and then taking that and saying like, okay, how awesome can we make this? We've decided we're doing Spider-Man. How cool can we make this feel? How creative can we be with this? And they went for it, and there's some incredibly cool sequences in this.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that like I think this is a phrase, so forgive me if I get the phrase wrong, but the idea that like in animation you can do anything, but you have to do everything,
Hmm.
is one thing I think I've heard. Like this idea that like you have no real limitations on what you can do, but you have to build all of it, right?
Mhm.
And that's what I think is so ultimately so impressive about animation in general, and the way this movie utilizes it. That they had to build all these things, and yeah, like the idea of just like saying in general, we have this great idea, we're going to do all these different spider people from different worlds, and then not only are we going to do that, but each of their animation styles, we're going to animate them in that style while in this world. And so we're going to have 5 different animation styles all mixing together within an action sequence, but we need to make it look good, and we need to build them all separately and create them and run them through our computer program, and then mix it all together and blend it all together in a way that it works but also is noticeable. And meanwhile, we're like having to come up with these incredibly intricate choreographed sequences that no one has ever done anything like in a Spider-Man thing, because to your point, like we could not have done this in a live action movie. Like it's just the degree of difficulty here is remarkable. And I think this movie and the series has become pretty famous and arguably notorious for just like the amount of work it took. I mean, this is the exact reason why like we are not talking about this movie as a completed trilogy right now, because the third movie's still not out and it's been delayed multiple times. And I think 27 is what they've said, but I don't even know if that's true anymore.
Yeah, it's a wishful, it's a hopefully 27. I think is the current status. Yeah, I want to before we move on from this point, I want to say something, because what I said was kind of silly, but I want to fix it. So I said, all the other Spider-Man movies were live action, and it's like, okay, obviously 100% of the web slinging scenes in those movies were also CGI. I understand that.
Yeah,
but because they're in like a more grounded world where the colors have to be relatively normal.
Yes.
You can't quite get away with the same things. The camera can't whip around the same way, or if it did, it would feel weird. The color, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies are probably the best at this, where they exaggerate the color palette in a way where the action is very, very clear visually.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Marvel movies actually do less of a good job of this, where everything becomes dark and muddy and confusing. People,
yes,
I'm not the first to complain about this. And by being animated, by stylizing the color, you can show things because everything can be contrasted perfectly. Again, because it's CGI, and you're not limited by what colors look realistic. And that's the advantage I was really talking about here.
Yeah, no, I think that's an excellent point, and I totally agree. Man, it's I don't even know where to begin. So I say begin as if we haven't been talking for the last 20 minutes about this, but like I really do want to spend some time talking to you about the story. With the idea that I feel like everything I'm gonna say I've said before, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it anyway. This is like a Phil Lord and Chris Miller thing, actually, that I think they just do a really good job of is tying everything together to like, as we kind of already mentioned, the animation style is part of the story. It's part of the themes. It's part of what this is about. And then the frame is always doing storytelling. Like there's always things happening in a way that the movie doesn't. No characters ever talk about the idea that this is an entire movie about expectations and the expectations that are being placed on Miles, and how he is continually feeling like he can't live up to those expectations. But like it's in every frame. It's in every frame of the movie. Like he's reading the book Great Expectations. He's trying to write a report on that while his dad is pushing him like towards this incredible opportunity at this Visions Academy he has. He goes with his uncle and creates graffiti art. What is the graffiti art? It says no expectations. Like he's pushing back against that. He's pushing back against what people want him to do and what people expect of him, because he doesn't feel like he lives up to it. And then when he becomes a spider person, it doesn't change that at all at first either. He still feels like he's this great responsibility, but he's not meeting the expectations for him. Again, perfectly visualized when they go down into Peter's secret base and he's looking at all the Spider-Man costumes. He walks up to one, and in the way the angle of the shot is, his reflection is not making it up to the level of where the mask is, right? He's below it. He's not matching up to it. It's above him. He can't quite get there.
Yeah.
And like, it's such good visual storytelling that no one ever stops and says like, he never has a moment where he goes like, Dad, I just can't meet the expectations you have me, or something like that. It's just it flows naturally through everything they're doing in the movie.
Yeah. And then later when he comes back to Aunt May's spider den, he stands in front of the costume again, and this time he is he's on the level. His face is reflected in the face. So speaking of things that I at least don't remember noticing, is that he basically took one of the spider suits that existed and then he spray painted it to look like that.
Yep.
I again, it's entire that this was 7 years ago, like you said. So maybe I just totally did parse it the first time and I just forgot. But I think it's so brief. Like, it shows you like, you know, a flash of his like spray paint can going over the logo. And then when you look at it later, it's really clear, actually. In retrospect, you look at the costume, you're like, oh, like the hands are just the normal Spider-Man suit hands. They're completely the same as Peter Parker's. And all these other elements are kind of peeking through, but then he's spray painted his vision on top of it, which is such a perfect symbolic thing for him.
Yeah. Well, and because the movie is this kid trying to figure out how he can be himself while still living up to the expectations that everyone has for him. And he's stumbling through that idea. And this is something I know I did talk about the first time we did this movie, but the recurring beat of him having untied shoes and the way that gets him in trouble multiple times. He trips and falls and almost gets hit. He trips and falls when he's trying to do Spider-Man shit and ends up falling. And it's because his shoes are untied. And why are his shoes untied? Well, he says this is a stylistic choice, right? This is he's doing this on purpose because he's trying to carve out a path for himself in this world while also trying to live up the expectations everyone has. And it's not working out for him. He's not really doing it. He's struggling. He's struggling to find his place. Again, the great contrast this movie creates for us is as we see him walk through Brooklyn and walk by his old school, everyone there says hi to him. He's friendly and casual. He knows those people. He knows that place. He gets to the Visions Academy and he's awkward and he doesn't really know any of these people. Like, I think at the end of the movie, it says something like, and I finally got to meet my roommate. And it's like, what? You never talked to this guy? And it's like, no, because he didn't feel like he's up to the task of this place and couldn't find a way to make to live in this place and make it his own. And this all goes, this is all as part of that. Like,
yeah,
it's him. It's simultaneously him trying to meet the expectations that are placed on him and meet his own expectations and try to figure out who he is and what Miles Morales' version of Spider-Man looks like, because it's not the Peter Parker version of Spider-Man.
Exactly. Yeah. You talked, I love all that. You talked about the expectations kind of put on him by the mundane world, but there's also the expectations put on him by the Spider-Mans who are all telling him how to be Spider-Man. And there's that whole scene where they're kind of haranguing him. They're making him feel like he's just doing a terrible job.
Yeah.
And the truth is they all have their own strengths and they're great in their own ways, but he has different strengths that they don't understand. And in the end, he's going to be possibly even more awesome than them, but he has to understand that for himself. No one else can really do it for him.
Yeah.
I love all that.
It's great because it becomes basically a two-part film, right? Where the other characters are also going through a sense of growth, and like all these people are like very well-trained spider people, but none of them have actually had the experience of like being around another spider person. So the idea that they know what makes a Spider-Man is kind of an illusion. They know what made them Spider-Man, and that's all they know, and that's all they can communicate. And so yeah, like it's a learning experience for them too. None so clearly as Peter B. Parker, the parental like figure for Miles in this movie, who has almost as much of an arc as Miles does, because we see this guy as a guy who is older. He's 10 years into Spider-Manning. Actually, it's 20 something,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I think it was 20. I think the Spider-Man. I think Peter Parker, who dies, was 10 years in.
Yeah,
and this Spider-Man was 20 years in.
Yeah, and he has all these problems. Like his relationships have failed, and the idea that I think that his central through line is he like Mary Jane wanted kids and he was afraid to have kids. And then of course Peter Parker serves as being his like adopted kid through the course of this movie. And that I love Jake Johnson in this movie, but at the very end of the movie, he's like helping Peter out. And he's like, do I want kids?
Yeah.
But it's him trying to help Miles understand who he is while doing it the way that he did it. And that's like the learning experience for him and for all of them has to be like, no, it's going to look different here. Nobody understands you maybe quite as much as we do, but just because we did it this way doesn't mean you're going to do it that way as well. Like,
yeah,
the idea that like Jake Johnson, like webbing him to a chair and then saying, sorry, you can't help, you're not ready, is like, just like he's almost the antagonist in that moment where you're like, no man, fuck off. Like give the kid a chance. Like I think that the really interesting thing with this idea of this thematic idea of expectations is like the idea of pushing someone too hard. Like we have Miles' two parents in the movie are essentially his dad and Peter B. Parker, and they are both like, they both know that Miles can be great. They both know that Miles has the potential in him to do all these amazing things. But it's like, come on, Miles, come on, go now, do it.
Right.
You got to do it. Do it this way. Do it. This is how. And they're both pushing at him, and it those expectations become a weight instead of a lift.
Yeah, and they both love him, right? They're both like we know you can do it, but in their mind, they're like, you can do it the way I think you should do it.
Yeah.
And they're not even trying to be controlling. It's just that's the way that they see how to do it.
Yeah.
Although I do love the dialogue where so much of the dialogue is great, but I just really love the back and forth where they're in the cop car at the beginning of the movie, and he says, you know, he mentions his uncle, and his dad says, we all make choices, and he's, once again, we're subtly setting up the idea that that there's this tension between him and his uncle. We suspect that his dad knows his uncle is a criminal. Probably doesn't know that he's literally the Prowler, but knows that he's a criminal, I think. Yeah. And, you know, he says, we all make choices in this disappointed way. And Miles says, well, I don't feel like I have much of a choice. And then he says, you don't. And then Miles gets out of the car, and you could see he looks disappointed in himself for saying that, because he's like, that's not how I want this to go. Like, that's not what I want for my son. I should have handled that differently. But like, if I do, you know, in his perspective, he's like, if I don't ride this kid, he's going to turn into my brother, a criminal. That's his perspective, right? So it's a very, I don't know, like, it's very relatable, right? It's, you said that like Peter B. Parker is almost the antagonist in that moment, and in some ways the dad is antagonistic, but in both cases it's like, look, these are characters who are absolutely doing a thing that from their point of view is the right thing to do. They just don't have perspective. Yeah.
And all three of the characters learn throughout the course of that. Like, his dad has that wonderful moment where like he realizes that, like, I think his dad, his uncle's death really crystallizes for his dad, I could lose my son. Mm-hmm. And like, I think part of the reason why he's pushing Miles so much in this certain direction and giving him such a short leash is because not only does Miles get along with his uncle very well, but I think he sees a lot of similarities in the two of them. And he's like terrified that Miles will make the same choices that his uncle did.
Yeah.
Or his brother did, actually. And then when he dies, it's this realization for his father of like, oh my God, like not only could I lose Miles to this way of life, but I could lose Miles.
Mhm.
And I've been trying so hard to prevent this outcome from happening. And I've been pushing so hard, and I had these expectations of people, and I've allowed my relationships with the people in my family to love to go crashing down because of their failure to meet my expectations. I need to stop that.
You know, here's a thought I don't know that I've had about this movie before specifically, which is like, I think the whole concept of Spider-Man is a character who has impossible expectations of himself.
Sure.
Like the best of the Tobey Maguire movies. I mean, really, I think all the movies understand this about the character. Like that's why they're all pretty good movies, and that's why people generally like Spider-Man. Is as a character, he takes responsibility for protecting people far out of proportion to anything that is reasonable for, like, you know, a 16 to 19-year-old kid, depending on what movie you're watching.
Sure.
And it's extremely, like, he feels like a hero in a way that a lot of superheroes don't, because it's like he's always self-sacrificing. He always keeps putting himself in the situations where he's putting himself at risk against villains who are often very scary and strong and capable and have resources. And he's always the underdog, but he's going back in there anyway, while he's also trying to juggle a secret identity, trying to find love, trying to keep his grades up so that he can have a real life, because he deserves it, and you want that for him too. You want Peter Parker to be successful just as much as you need Spider-Man to beat the villain. And like, you're so invested in all of this, and sometimes when you're watching Spider-Man, I mean, the second movie, that being Spider-Man 2, not Amazing Spider-Verse 2,
okay,
literally takes away his powers and kind of gives him a break, right? And says, okay, fine, you don't have to be Spider-Man. And when you're watching that movie, you're like, yeah, like, take a break, man. You deserve a break. like forget about Doc Ock. It'll probably be fine. You probably don't need to worry about Doc Ock. And but it's him. He can't let it go, right? He's the one who has the expectations of himself, who is demanding of himself. And I think Miles Morales has this streak too, right? He also wants to be, I was going to say wants to be great. I don't know what he wants to be exactly. He has he has his own vision for himself, but maybe he's not quite sure what that is. But he knows, you know, he's got a great heart. He really cares about his family. He really cares about the city. He's willing to risk his life to protect the city, even when he doesn't even know how to web sling yet in this movie. Yeah. And that's what gives Spider-Man heart. And it's the fact that he is relentlessly pushing himself. And I think that's something this movie understands it. And I think the movie takes that concept and then it connects it to all the other characters. And it's about expectations, but then it's about how, well, you're the only one who can navigate that for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. No one can tell you how to be. No one can tell you how to be Miles Morales, or how to be Spider-Man, or how to meet your expectations, or how to define those expectations, or any of that. Yeah. It has to be you. It has to be you taking your leap of faith, as the movie puts it. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. Spider-Man is a story of unrealistic expectations. It is kind of like the idea, like the central core of Spider-Man. I think that they say the thing that connects all of them together is this idea that the one thing that is true of all Spider-Mans is you get knocked down and you get back up, and that's what you do. But even that's like, yeah, but you got like a dragon man hitting you. Like, how am I expected to get back up from that?
Right. And I mean, the movie begins with him dying after saying, I always get back up. He tells us twice in short succession, I always get back up. And he says it to himself quietly shortly before he dies. And I think that's meant to actually tell us that's not necessarily true. Like, it's not magic. It's just you have the indefatigable spirit of a person who will never give up, but that doesn't mean you're invincible. And with the death of his, his Uncle Ben character in this movie and so forth, you're it's emphasized for you that like success is not guaranteed, survival is not guaranteed in this game, in this life.
I mean, just the idea that like our origin story moment is punctuated not only by the death of his uncle, but like also by the death of the previous Spider-Man is like, why are you the only Spider-Man in this universe? Well, because the other one died. And so there's a version of this like where you can say, Miles Morales, look 10 years down the road, that's you. You're going to be this guy who's this great, incredible hero. What are the other things that the Chris Pine Spider-Man says? I am so tired.
Yeah.
Like he's just exhausted, man. He's been doing this for 10 years. And the weight of those expectations on someone for 10 years has exhausted him.
Yeah.
And then up until the point where he finally can't get back up. And so what we've created is like, this is a vision of a possible version of your future.
Yeah. Yeah. I really am not going to spoil the second movie, but I'm in this conversation, I'm realizing how much of this propagates directly through to the second movie when it comes to looking at other ways his life could go. The whole idea of the canon event, which is a concept that movie introduces, which has now basically become like a part of the lexicon. People will like things will happen in like a terrible thing will happen to a person, and people will be like, that was a canon event, So, but like that is, it's funny because it's kind of doing the thing where it's playing with language, perhaps a little bit, because what is a canon event if not a thing you expect to happen or an expectation?
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, is also true of the novel Great Expectations, where the literal meaning of the phrase "Great Expectations" in the sense that it is used literally in the novel is actually referring to inheritance. But also it's a double meaning where it's also about it's about expectations. It's about having expectations of this kid who's the main character of that story, which is it's a Bildungsroman. How often do I say that word out loud? Just like this Bildungsroman, just like this trilogy is going to be, really, right? It's going to be a coming of age trilogy ultimately. Yeah,
that's Charles Dickens.
Yeah,
he was a smart man.
Remember that time that the character from Great Expectations, Pip, jumps off a building upside down, and it's really awesome.
To like a really slamming soundtrack playing.
Slamming soundtrack.
Well,
and the
Jake
glass.
Johnson says in the background, "It's a leap of faith, Miles."
That's right.
Still like one of the greatest moments in Spider-Man history.
Yeah.
Like I like it always gets me. The build to this moment just works perfectly. It is so delightful and earned. And just the shot of him not diving down but rising up because they've flipped the shot. It's just like that whole sequence is incredible.
Yeah.
And we just like not only do we get the wonderful jump and the glass shattering and the rising up, but like everything from there too, when he web slings up until he gets to like where he's going, Fisk's building, I guess. That there is all great too.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's
a celebration.
Yeah, all of the web slinging is fun, but that's that. I mean, I agree. That's just like an emotional crescendo. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. It touches you. The movie really has fantastic structure. Like we've talked a lot about the sort of micro, but on a macro level, it has fantastic structure. You just because you mentioned the fact that he's heading to the building where the collider is, I'm sure everyone else except me got this 7 years ago, but I think this was the first time that I fully understood okay, so they're going down into the subway, mm-hmm. and his uncle says, "How'd you find this place?" His uncle says, "An engineering job," kind of tersely, uncharacteristically tersely. And this is where the radioactive spider is that bites him, mm-hmm. because this is a radioactive spider from the collider. Because this location they're in is right by the collider, and that's why his uncle knows about it, because he came across it when he was doing something with the collider.
Correct.
Probably yeah, probably something violent. And
Almost
then
certainly, yeah.
And that's also why when Miles goes back there to sort of get away from it all, he then gets pulled into the whole fight between Peter Parker and Green Goblin and so on, because he's literally right next to it, and it all makes sense. It's all physically the same place, and and it's because of the connection with the Prowler. That was like the connective tissue I didn't quite get before.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you are correct. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You understood the movie.
Good. Now I'm going to go back and listen to the last time we talked about it, and I'm going to notice the same thing during that conversation, and I'll just have forgotten it since then.
I am really worried about my mental capacity these days, Matt, because the idea of forgetting so much of the things that I myself say into a microphone is starting to trouble me.
You know, a lot of stuff happens.
That is true. There's a lot of things in a given day that happen.
What would it be like to remember everything, you know?
I don't think it'd be fun. I would not enjoy that.
I've actually heard that people who have incredible memories where like you can ask them, you know, how many glasses of milk did you have on some date 17 years ago, and they can answer accurately and tell you like whether it rained or not and everything. Apparently they're very anxious and miserable.
That checks out.
Yeah.
I think I understand that.
Yeah. This is definitely not just a sour grape sort of thing that people like us tell ourselves so that we don't feel bad about having terrible memories.
Totally.
Yeah.
We haven't talked much about Gwen.
Yeah.
Also delightful in this movie.
Gwen is delightful in this movie. It's fun. I mean, it's funny now the concept of alternate dimensional Spider-Mans is passé at this point in time, after they did it several other times. But this was kind of our introduction to it, right?
Yeah.
And Spider-Gwen is a fantastic curveball in this world of like you kind of right. It's kind of playing with your expectations, right? Because you're like the Spider-Man looks like Peter Parker. That's what Spider-Man looks like.
Yeah.
And then you're almost kind of like, I don't know if I'm ready to accept Miles Morales as Spider-Man. And then the movie throws you, well, here's Gwen Stacy, and she's also Spider-Woman, and she's actually a badass, and you immediately are impressed by her because of the way they introduce her.
Yep.
So it works on that level. Really.
Also, I know I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. I think like objectively, the Spider-Gwen costume design is like one of the greatest Spider-Man costumes ever. Like, I think it just looks so cool. I love the color scheme. I think it just looks great. I think it looks phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think maybe the only clunkiness I had with the story with Gwen is I got blown into last week because they wanted Gwen to interact with Miles in the classroom as he was getting powers, and I guess they just couldn't figure out a way to make that work with the timeline. So they had to have her be blown into last week for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, like, sure, whatever. I just shrug and move on. But I always, every time I watch this movie, I'm like, why did that happen?
I mean, I thought about that for a second, actually. So, okay, here's my explanation for this. So, Penny Parker is literally from the future. And wait, this doesn't make sense. You're right.
Yeah, you've already talked yourself out of it. Yeah.
They all come to about the same point in time.
Yeah. And I don't know. So one thing that I think I noticed this time that I didn't notice the other time is not only do they come to the same time, I think they come to the same place. I think there's shots of in there like really like mini who am I? Yeah, like this is like they all go to the misspelled Coca-Cola sign that you said. I think they all show up at there. So I think what the movie is ultimately telling us is they all arrived at different times because they were they would have. I mean, it makes sense that they would arrive in the same spot in space. But I guess we've decided they arrive at different spots in time because
right.
And so I guess and it just so happens that Gwen Stacy was a week ago.
Yep.
And then I think that I think it's clever the way the the movie Yada Yada's over some of the stuff is like, I got blown into last week and then my spider sense told me to come to Visions Academy.
It's like, oh yeah. Yeah, yours does that.
It does that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, I don't actually care about these things, but like, it's just funny to think about it. I'd be lying if I said they did not like briefly pop into my head as I was watching the movie this time.
Yeah, I think it manages to stick to a relatively irreverent tone most of the time, and then have stuff like Spider Pig and
oh my gosh,
and Spider Noir. What, I don't remember what he's called.
Why is there wind blowing? We're in a basement.
I love him.
Oh, it's all great. It's like when Spider Pig leaves and says, "That's all, folks."
Yeah,
and Peter B is like, can he say that legally?
Yeah.
Or is he allowed to say that?
My favorite line of his is can animals talk in this dimension? Because I don't want to freak him out. And I love that guy.
That's John Mulaney.
John Mulaney, right?
Yeah.
Great choice for this ridiculous character.
It's great. I mean, like, obviously the focal point of the movie is Miles and Peter B. Parker, and to a lesser extent, Gwen Stacy has, I think, her own little thing. Like, we get to see, you know, her version of the Uncle Ben incident is Peter Parker, her best friend, who is also in that universe, the lizard, and he dies tragically. And so, like, her thing is she's like terrified of making friends, and so her arc in the movie is getting over that.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are really just comedic devices, right? Like Spider Ham does not have an arc.
Right.
Neither really does Spider-Man Noir. Although I thought, like, I just remember when this movie blew up and was very successful, like, they announced all these spin-offs, and I felt like they were going to make like a Spider Noir spin-off thing. But who knows? Who knows what's happened to that?
Yeah, I certainly haven't heard anything else about that. I really hope that they make the third one, because the second movie ended on a extremely powerful cliffhanger that has had me invested for years now, and I really need the third movie to happen.
This is something I'm curious about, because I did want to talk to you about this. I think the second movie is very good as well. It's not number 5 on our list. It's not even number 6 on our list. It's not even in the top 25. It's not even in the top 50, Matt. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse right now on our list is ranked 58th, which is still pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't want to take that away from it, but it is interesting if you ask someone about these movies, like, this is the one that's like universally beloved. Do you think it's just because the second movie, like most second movies and trilogies, is just very much part 1 of 2?
Yeah, I can think of a few reasons. You know, it's funny because if you had asked me before I sat down to watch this movie on this latest rewatch, I might have told you that I thought the second movie was a better movie in a kind of Empire Strikes Back fashion, where it raises the stakes. It feels serious in some ways. I mean, it's also fairly irreverent and funny, but there are elements of it that feel very serious, and it ends on a very Empire Strikes Back like cliffhanger, like I said. So I just really, really love that movie, and I really love this one too. But I remembered that one being above this one, and now after this latest rewatch, I'm less sure about that. I think the second movie it's also just a weirder movie. There's also a lot of like people having like basically philosophical debates, which I love personally.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a little bit darker, and like there's less of the like, this is the triumphant origin story of a hero. You know, another way of looking at this whole thing is like, generally speaking, not generally speaking, rather I'll just say often, the best movie in a superhero franchise is the first one, because the origin story is a naturally narratively satisfying story structure.
Sure.
So you love the first movie. Everybody loves the first Iron Man movie and kind of likes the later ones. was the other example I had. This Spider-Man, I think, is an example of this as well.
What? Spider-Man 2
no,
is the greatest movie of all time.
You're right. Spider-Man 2 is better. Yeah, see, there's exceptions to this, right? Like, I don't know that the first Thor movie is... I'm pretty sure the first Thor movie is not the best Thor movie. I'm pretty sure the first Captain America movie is not the best Captain America movie. But I think the abstract point being that, like, you got to work really hard to outdo the structure of a really good superhero origin story. So this is a simple narrative, right? For all of the cleverness that we talked about, the fact that it is very well struck, very, very cleverly structured in some ways, the high level narrative is a superhero origin story. It's just kind of how you do that. And then the second movie is weirder. And in some ways it's hard to even remember exactly what happens in that movie because of how strange it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm suffering from right now, where I like I said, I've seen the movie once. I remember enjoying it in the theater and then going home knowing that they hadn't even really started working on the third one. And it definitely was not going to make the ambitious 2025 release date that they had set, I think, when that movie came out. I think it was actually 24, actually. But like in thinking about like which movie was better, like my brain just kept going back to this one because I couldn't fully parse. Like, I remember the canon event stuff. I think I remember the loose plot line of the second movie. But I feel like I just have much more fond memories of this one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also, I don't know. I think there's just a bias toward first movies in series. I mean, kind of similar to how Fellowship of the Ring got voted up to the top. Yes, Fellowship of the Ring is amazing, obviously. But I think for a lot of people, it's just sort of a shorthand for I am voting for this group of films.
Yeah, but Matt, the Return of the King is the number one movie.
Did you stop pointing out all the logical inconsistencies in my attempts to generalize? It's making it very hard. It's making it very hard for me to pontificate.
I'm so sorry. No, but I mean, I think your point is taken, though, especially in a movie like this, where like maybe 30 to 45% of the reason why this movie is so fondly remembered is because it's a very good movie that's done well, and maybe the other 55+% is because it is this landmark achievement in animation that changed the game. And like you just can't say that about the second one, despite the fact that it is also like pushing animation boundaries, but like this is the establishing beat of that concept. And so this is the one that's just going to be remembered more fondly because it's like, this is the first time we saw something like this. That is the second time we saw something like this, which is going to be remembered better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Good freaking movie, man. Good movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny watching it and having this conversation with you has reinvigorated my interest in this franchise. And I want to see that third one. Don't you hate it when that happens, when you kind of forget about like a long running fantasy series or TV show or whatever that you don't have satisfaction on yet, and then you remember it exists, and then you're like, damn it.
Yeah.
Now I have to think about it again.
And you're never going to get it because they canceled Wheel of Time.
Yeah. Or their name is Patrick Rothfuss or George R. R. Martin or whatever.
No, though both those guys are definitely going to finish their work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you believe them? They said they're still working on it.
I mean, did they?
I mean, George does.
Are they even still claiming that at this point?
George is, yeah.
In 2025?
It's like listening to George field the question in 2025 is one of the most hilarious things in the world, because he's just like, I don't know what you want me to say, man. I'm working on it. I worked on it yesterday. It's like, did you though?
Yeah.
Define working on it, George. Right. I think literally when the last time I saw someone ask him this question, he's like, I worked on it the other day. I wrote a bunch of stuff and then I read it and I didn't like any of it and I threw it away and started over. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. well, there's your problem. Oh, jeez.
I did want to talk about something pretty unique with this viewing experience for me this time, though, Matt, because it's a new thing for me. So this is the first time ever that I have watched a movie in preparation for the podcast with my son. My son is 4 years old now. And I said, Logan, I'm going to be watching a Spider-Man movie. Do you want to watch a Spider-Man movie with me? And he was like, no, it's scary. And I said, no, this one's a cartoon. And he was like, okay. He was still a little scared by the Prowler. But man, it was like I said, I've watched movies with my son, but I haven't like it's. I feel like it's a different experience for me. Like watching a movie, I know I'm going to have to talk about it on a podcast, and I'm also like getting to specifically watch my son watch it.
Yeah, it's an incredible joy. I've talked about this on the podcast before, but now we kind of get to talk about it together, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because being able to gradually go through all my favorite movies with my kids has been just a continuing source of joy. In fact, literally just last night, I watched Blade Runner 2049 with my oldest. And what's funny is I'm squeezing the juice because I can watch that movie again with the middle child when they're old enough, and then I can watch it with the youngest child when they're old enough. And
I mean, this is why you have multiple children, right? This
exactly.
is the reason.
You know, in many cases, I just decided it was time, and we all watched a movie together. But for movies like that where they're rated R for complex reasons, I'm like, okay, I feel like they're ready for this, but I also want to make sure that it's just the kid who's past that threshold for me. Anyway, the point being, it's incredibly delightful, right? You get to re-experience the movie. I was just saying I noticed stuff and I kind of felt like I was watching it for the first time. Maybe that was partly because I was watching it with her, and I was thinking about how is she going to process this, or she would make a remark or notice something, and I would be like, wow, I'm really impressed that she noticed that, or I think there was even one point where I was like, how did you figure that out at this point? Like I like paused it and I was like, that's correct. But how did you know that at this point in the movie? Because I don't know how you would have figured that out at this point in the movie, you know? So
yeah,
it's just
great.
It's very fun to it's just very fun in so many different ways. It's just a joy. Yeah. I mean, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to like interrupt with my stuff. Yeah.
No, you're good.
Tell us about it.
I mean, my son was definitely not like asking pointed questions like that. His questions were more like the questions you would expect a 4-year-old to ask, which is like, why'd that happen? Who's that? Why did he die? Yeah. But even those kind of questions are great because like I watched a movie with my son in which Spider-Man dies in the first 20 minutes of the film. And like I got to watch him react to Spider-Man dying. My son likes Spider-Man because he's a human being that exists on the planet Earth. So of course he loves Spider-Man, and Spider-Man died and he didn't understand. He did not understand why Spider-Man dies because Spider-Man's a hero. Why does Spider-Man die? And like having to, in the middle of the movie, kind of explain that to him as we're watching Miles and the entire city of New York deal with the fact that Spider-Man is dead was just like an unrecreatable experience for me. And it was so cool. And he's asking about all the villains. He like knew that was the Green Goblin, which I was so shocked by because the Green Goblin in this movie looks so different from all the versions of the Green Goblin I've seen. But he's just like, when's the Green Goblin coming back? I was like, wow, you know the Green Goblin? How do you know that? I don't know. And he calls Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider. And I think it's because there's like a Spider Friends, like kids cartoon in which they call her Ghost Spider. And so he was like, we had to watch it in two nights because he can't stay up that late to watch a hour and 45-minute movie.
Yeah.
But we got to when Spider-Gwen shows up the first night. And because I was like, buddy, we got to go to bed. And he's like, can we wait until Ghost Spider shows up? And I was like, yeah, sure. But like I was having fun because when Gwen first shows up, I'm like, Logan, that's Ghost Spider right there. And he was like so into it and so excited. And I was like, Logan, I'm gonna have to talk about this movie. When we finish tonight, I'm gonna have to go talk about the movie on my microphone. He's like, are you gonna talk about that the people who died and why they died? He's like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It was I don't know, like I don't know if anyone cares about this, but like it was such a wonderful experience. And like I got to see the future of us doing this, like you're talking about. like continuously, and I loved it.
Yeah, right. You just, it's like you get to watch it again for the first time. I basically already said that.
Yeah.
But you are interpreting it through an entirely different lens, and you're again thinking about things you totally weren't thinking about the first time. It's very shocking for Spider-Man to die in a Spider-Man movie, but it's even more shocking to think about how a child processes that. And it even comes back around on a loop, because you're kind of like, well, I didn't even process it that differently from how a child processes it. Like it was still very sad when that happened the first time that I watched the movie, right? And it just reminds you, it's almost like it makes you aware of the emotions that you're actually having when you watch stuff with a kid. In a weird way.
No, I mean, for sure. Like, we had a whole conversation about it as I put him to bed that night, which is like, he just asked again. He's like, why did Spider-Man die? And I was like, oh, that happens sometimes, people. And he was like, but he's Spider-Man. And I was like, yeah, I know. He's got superpowers and he's super strong and fast, but he can still get hurt. And like, his response to that is, because he's still just a person. And I'm like, oh, you get Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You maybe couldn't like say that, like you couldn't write an essay on it, but like at your core, you understand Spider-Man. He's just a person. You got that from the movie. Yeah. And it's just like, that warms your heart a little bit. Like, this is like the emotional core of what this thing is. Does he understand what's going on with the multidimensional stuff and the goober? Does he understand that and like all the plot stuff in detail? Could he recreate it for me? No, probably not. But he gets the core of what the movie is, that this Spider-Man died. Now there's a new Spider-Man, and he's trying to be Spider-Man too, but it's hard.
Yeah.
And he's just a person.
Yeah. He's just a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because I'm sure a little kid sees Miles Morales and they don't think that's a kid. They think that's a grown up. But to us, he's just a kid. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I do wonder what a small child's perspective on Kingpin is, just out of curiosity, because he's like, I think I feel like I would have been scared of Kingpin. He's so weird.
Yeah, it didn't feel like he knew Kingpin was the bad guy, like, immediately. Mm-hmm. He was definitely like terrified every Prowler scene. Like, he like jumped and grabbed onto me every time Prowler was on the scene. And I think, again, he's very savvy. Like people are so smart in figuring out movies and stuff, but like the Prowler theme in this movie is very distinct. We didn't talk about any of the music in this movie, which is just all like excellent, but the Prowler theme is very distinct, and sometimes the Prowler theme will pick up before he even shows up on camera. Mm-hmm. And like, I saw him tense when he heard the music. Like, he just internalized the music. But Fisk, no, I think he knew he was the bad guy. And I mean, he saw him kill Spider-Man, so he didn't like that. I try to explain to him Fisk's plot in this movie, that like, he's missing his wife and his kid, and he wants them back. And so he's trying to do all this to do that, but it's making everything worse. And I don't think he really understood any of that. But that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's really kind of a relatively small part of the movie, but
yeah, I was trying to think as we were having a conversation, if there's a way you can tie that to like the central like Great Expectations thing. And like, maybe that's my one knock against the movie, is that I like, my favorite movies are when like the antagonist's goal and the protagonist's goal like conflict with each other, not just in a plot way, but in a thematic way.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was really the case. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I need to think about this more, and there's a good, perfect explanation for this. But I like the idea of undoing a mistake and how that ties into like Peter B. Parker. Mm-hmm. But I don't see it as being like a foil or anything to Miles' central journey.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at it, I guess. I mean, Miles and his family have this tension, particularly him and his father, where there's a risk kind of on both sides of that relationship that either one of them could alienate the other, but they both love each other so much that they're trying very hard, even maybe kind of having to go against their own nature to not cross that line. And then the Kingpin, in contrast, he's just going to be a violent thug and do violent thug things. And if his family, if this alienates his family, he's going to do everything he can to get them back, but he's going to do it in a violent and thuggish way, and he's not going to change his ways at all. He's totally unwilling to change himself or compromise. And I admit this is interesting. It's sort of a weird fit with the themes, because we just spent so much time talking about how it's about like carving your own path and all of that. But I think, again, this is like a mature take on the carving your own path thing, because it's not like, yeah, the moral of the story is that Miles flips off his dad and tells his mom to shove it and quit school, right? He doesn't throw away his life so that he can be Spider-Man. He actually keeps all of the things that he keeps all the parts of his mundane life, even the parts that he doesn't necessarily love, for the sake of the things that he does love. And then he, on top of that, is Spider-Man, because he again, he just is going to live up to these very high demands he puts on himself. I don't know if that all gels, but that's kind of my reaction.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think you're right, because we see him like this is a kid who at the beginning like intentionally got every question wrong on the test to try to get kicked out of Visions. And at the end of the episode is now a movie is now Spider-Man, but he didn't want to leave Visions anymore. He finishes his essay. He's still going to be there. This is important to him. It's important to his parents, and they've reached a kind of understanding in that. I think you're right. And yeah, I mean, I do like the Kingpin. Like the reason why the Kingpin's family died is because they saw him being terrible. They saw him beating up Spider-Man, and they realized he was a villain, and they ran away from him and got in a car accident while they were doing that. And he orchestrates this whole big thing in order to pull them from another dimension and get them back. And what happens when that happens is they witness him beating up Spider-Man, realize he's a villain, and they run away from him again. Mm-hmm. Like it is like exactly no change, no understanding, no greater understanding of maybe we could put this like the expectations that his family has of him as a father and husband. if I'm trying to link these things together, he doesn't understand that and never gets to any sense of balance. Yeah,
it makes sense to me.
Sure. All right, we did it.
Yep.
I'll go home, go after this and wake my son up and explain that to him. I'm sure.
All right. Yeah. Just have him listen to this podcast episode and then quiz him on it in detail.
He really liked all the different Spider-Man. I think Penny confused him. I think when the Penny robot dies and the little spider comes out and everyone's sad about it, he did not understand any of that. What was going on there?
Just tell him it's anime bullshit.
I mean, I'm not going to use the word bullshit, but maybe when he's older.
Yeah, you gotta start young, Scott.
Can I tell you like one of my happiest moments of my young parenting is he was doing a lot of like fighting stuff, and I was like, oh, this reminds me of Dragon Ball Z, and so I'll show him DBZ, and I showed him like 5 minutes, and he got so bored. I was like, that's a good boy. I'm proud of you. He got so bored and said, I don't want to watch this anymore.
You might be delighted to know I've been watching Naruto with my son, and he very often will just make fun if they're getting lazy and like it's just a bunch of still frames of people looking at each other with their mouth barely moving. He'll be like, oh, looks like they lost the animation budget again. And he's just making fun of animation consistently.
That's wonderful. I love that. It makes me very happy. I will say, like, I know it's like the oldest joke in the world that like the freaking DBZ anime is like so drawn out bullshit, but holy shit, man, I hadn't seen it in a long time, and just like this is even before it went really crazy. This is just like the Frieza Goku fight. I just wanted to show him Goku go Super Saiyan because I was like, because he was doing a lot of like fight screaming, and I was like, I think you'll appreciate this. It did not, but it's just like 5 minutes of like charging up a big laser beam and then you hit the guy, and then you have to wait like 45 seconds for the dust to clear. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, who has time for any of this?
And that was the whole episode. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awful.
Yeah. Our standards used to be so low.
But Spider-Verse didn't have any of that in it.
Didn't have a single second of a still frame of animation.
I will say he liked Spider-Ham a lot. I don't think he could tell you what Spider-Ham was. He obviously does not understand the Looney Tunes reference because he's never seen Looney Tunes. But he thought Spider-Man Noir was very funny. Like he thought everything he said was funny, and I don't think he understood any of the jokes of it. I think he just thought he was funny looking and acting, which fair.
Yeah,
I think that's the Nick Cage effect.
I was just going to say, man. Your son wisely is skeptical of anime and is already a fan of Nick Cage just from his voice. So on the right track so far.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was great. I asked him if he wanted to watch the next movie and he said yes. So the other thing is I forget who, but someone bought him like a Spider-Verse. I think it was an Across the Spider-Verse toy set that has Miles, Peter, Prowler, but it also has like the Spot in it from the sequel, and it has like the British Mohawk Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and it has the one future, the one that we can't spoil that movie. It has another one from Spider-Verse. And he had never really played with them before because I don't think he like really understood it. But like, I boot up the movie, he sees Prowler, and he like sprints to where he keeps those toys, and he grabs the Prowler toy and he grabs the Peter Parker Spider-Man toy, and he goes, "These two." He's like, "Yeah, those are them." And then he's like holding them the entire time we're watching the movie, and then they start fighting on the screen, and he starts fighting them in his hands, and it's like that again. Like this is just I love this. I love this.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it.
So that's enough. We don't have to talk about that about my son anymore. But it's an experience I loved. I'm sure everyone out there that has kids that has gotten to watch movies with your kids has shared the experience when they're actually like locked in on the movie and really into it and really enjoying it, and asking a million questions. Did he die? Is he going to die? When's he going to die? He's really fixated on death right now, my son.
Right. They understand the concept of a spoiler relatively young, or at least you can explain it to them. You can explain, and I bring this up because at a pretty young age, you can be like, I can answer that question, but it would be a spoiler. Are you sure you want me to answer it? And the consequence of asking that question a few times is generally that they stop asking so many questions about what's going to happen, because they understand that they don't actually want to be spoiled.
Sure. I think with my son, it's almost entirely just he's anxious about how if people are going to be okay. And so he's asking because he wants to know right now, is this person going to be okay? And so like, I will say, watch the movie and see what happens. They're like, but don't worry, nobody's going to die. I was like, Spider-Man doesn't kill people. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And good. that seemed to help out.
That's good.
Yeah. He did not understand why the gun killed Prowler though. I don't think he really gets guns yet.
That kind of makes sense, actually. Guns are...
We don't play with guns in my house, so...
Yeah. Well, guns are... Like, the thing that does the killing is actually invisible, and cartoons have taught us that, like, you kill people with lasers and, you know, visible and photogenic things, but the invisible flying supersonic projectile is not something that makes sense to our brains as being lethal.
That's true. That's true. All right. Any more fun children or say the darndest things moments do you want to have?
No, because I don't want to spoil the entirety of Blade Runner 2049. But I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching that with my daughter. So.
Can I admit something to you that I think I've admitted before, but I'll do it again?
Yeah. I
still have not watched that movie again since I saw it in theaters, and I like loved it. I loved it. I went out and bought it on 4K as soon as it came out, and it's just sat on my shelf.
Well, it's a movie I've watched many times, and it's one of my favorite movies.
I need to just sit down and do it. But
it's very long. I mean, I'm not faulting you. It's a very long sort of like slow and meditative Denis Villeneuve movie. In fact, this might be the most Denis really wishes this were the era of silent film of his movies, because like there's so many scenes where nobody is talking or people say like 2 words and you're meant to just like infer. It's a noir, so it's even more terse. Which is stylistic choice, obviously.
It's wonderful. I loved it. One of the days we'll have a conversation about it that doesn't have Michael in it complaining about how the movie's not good.
Did that happen? Wow. Yeah, we do need to do that. Oh well.
Yeah. That's for the future. It's not going to be for this program though, because it is currently I just had it up and I think I closed it. It's like in the 50s right now, unfortunately.
Well, maybe this conversation will make people remember that it exists and they can go vote for it.
That's true. Everyone go revisit Blade Runner 2049 and then vote for it.
Yep.
And then we'll get to talk about it.
Yep.
All right. That is going to do it for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Matt, I think actually it just kind of works out that our next week's movie is also going to be another animated feature. And I believe will be the last one on the list because next week we're going to be talking about Spirited Away.
Awesome. I haven't seen that in forever.
I haven't seen it.
Well, that's exciting.
If you can believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of Miyazaki films. This is just one that I just, for whatever reason, haven't seen. So this will be the first film on the list that I have not seen. Let me just check. Yeah, it's going to be the only one.
Wow.
Yeah. No, this can be the only movie on this list currently that I have not seen.
Well, that's delightful.
Yeah. So that's really exciting for me. It's fun. I can't wait to check it out. Again, this is something I did where I bought a Miyazaki Blu-ray box set. I've not watched it.
That's funny.
I don't even think I've taken one of those discs out and put it in a player. Any of them in the entire box set. I used to not have children, and I had a lot more disposable income, and these are the things I spent it on.
You know, I think I also have a Miyazaki box set that I've also never opened. Now that we're on the topic,
at least I'm not alone. But I get to take it open and watch this movie for next week. Should I watch the dubbed version, or the subbed version?
I plan on watching the subbed version probably.
Yeah, that's probably the way it should go. I will say, like the Miyazaki films. My understanding is like when they released them here, like they were fairly popular. And so they did like a pretty decent job of dubbing them. But I know there's a lot of like anime purists out there who will lose their minds if they hear that you ever watch a dubbed version of anything.
That's a good point. I feel like for Miyazaki or Ghibli films, they usually do a really good job with the dub. It's really more for the TV shows that it's a little more inconsistent in my experience, at least. Yeah.
And I just remember every time someone made us watch an anime and I watched the dub version, people got so mad at me.
Yeah. It's ruins it.
I know. Of course you didn't like it.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, but what if my complaints have nothing to do with, no, that's why it was bad.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why.
But it's our anime episode. Of our once a decade. What is the term for once a decade? Because that's what's going to happen.
I don't know. Decennial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I make exceptions for Studio Ghibli, though. I think.
Yeah.
Miyazaki makes pretty good movies.
Yeah,
and I get to watch one that I've never seen, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Studio Ghibli, not anime. Avatar: The Last Airbender, anime, and so on.
I am the Pope of anime.
That's right. We discussed this.
I abdicated, but then I changed my mind and I took it back.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, because I'm the fucking Pope, man.
Yeah, popes can do that.
Ordained by God.
Yep. Exactly.
Anime God.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. That's enough heresy for one evening. Let's wrap this up. If you have any opinions on Spider-Man Into, Across, or Beyond the Spider-Verse, oh my God, did I get the name of the third one right?
You did.
I did.
You did.
Oh
That was amazing. I'm proud of you.
So proud of myself. You can reach out to us via email at doofmedia@gmail.com, on X at doofmedia, on Instagram at doofmedia, on Reddit, reddit.com/r/doofmedia. And if you are one of the animators on Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, if you could please just send us a message and let us know that the movie is definitely going to come out really soon. I would appreciate that.
We won't tell anyone, we promise.
Yeah, I'll keep that to myself.
Yep.
I won't even tell Matt.
Oh, well. Okay. Okay. Okay, good. You can find the Doofcast and all of our shows over on doofmedia.com. If you're not already subscribed to this podcast, we encourage you to subscribe and ensure you never miss an episode. You can find us on iTunes, YouTube, and pretty much anywhere else podcasts can be found.
Why did you read the part with my name?
I just started reading the wrong line.
If you like what we do here and want to support us, please consider becoming a patron of Doof Media. We forgot to mention it at the top of the episode, but the way this list is curated, these movies we're talking about, is via our patrons. You go to doofmovies.com, you connect it to your Patreon account, and you rank your 25 or more favorite films of the 21st century, and that ranking will tie in to the overall ranking, and that's how we get this list. So you too can make Blade Runner 2049 a thing.
That's right. Also, please consider rating and reviewing the Doofcast on Apple Podcasts. Each review helps us get more exposure and introduces new people to the content that we make here.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Next week is Spirited Away. I wonder how many people are like losing their minds about the fact that I haven't seen that movie. I feel like that's going to be a definite reaction, right?
I suspect you're right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I haven't seen all movies.
I have.
And it's anime. So I deprioritized it. Oh, wait, sorry. I forgot. It's not anime.
Not anime.
Not anime.
But we didn't know that before.
Yeah, I didn't.
Because you hadn't.
I wasn't the Pope yet.
You hadn't made
yeah. It's just a cardinal. An anime cardinal.
You hadn't made a papal edict on it.
Yeah. All right, folks. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
My name is Doof, and you'll do what I say. My name is Doof, and you'll do what I say.